encantada de estar aquí para mantener este diálogo con Alain Dedieu, presidente del segmento de aguas y aguas residuales en Schneider Electric. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Alain Dedieu, president of the water and wastewater segment at Schneider Electric. Alain began his career with Télémécanique in 1983 in automation and drive sales. With over 13 years at Schneider Electric, Alain has carried out numerous roles, including in the United States and China. During this interview, we will be analyzing the future of the digital water market, talk of the opportunities and challenges for digitalization during COVID-19, and the importance of corporate sustainability for the water industry. Hello, Alain. Welcome, and thank you very much for being with us today.
Hola a todos, and hello everyone. Even if I grew up next to Toulouse in France, I don't speak fluently Spanish, so I will answer your question in English, but I'm very proud and very excited to be with you today. Thank you for inviting me.
You have recently been appointed president of the water and wastewater segment at Schneider Electric. Congratulations. What does this new step represent for your career, and what challenges and opportunities do you see for Schneider Electric's water segment, especially now during the coronavirus pandemic?
So, as you have said during your introduction, I have devoted my professional life to Schneider Electric and industrial automation, energy management. And career is a big word. I would say that at the time of my career, I found that the next step, being the segment president for water in Schneider, was for me one way to accomplish and to be more operational in achieving my own values that, by the way, are matching perfectly the Schneider values that are around sustainability, efficiency, and resilience. Actually, water is very much at the core of human life and the industry. And by doing a lot of digitization around the water segment, I think that I will contribute in, I would say, managing the dilemma between the overall economical growth as well as the respect of our planet. Back to Schneider, and I mentioned already, very much Schneider is a technology provider digital technology provider for sustainability and resilience, based on, of course, automation and energy management. I think that COVID-19 has been the opportunity to see how sustainable could be the water industry for both the drinkable water, for the municipalities and the consumer, we are all, but as well for the industry. And to be back on myself, I think I'm very proud to help, for instance, secure water resource in Egypt with desalination or resuming 450 tons of waste from the river in Bogota. This is what drives my commitment to the water segment, but also my commitment to Schneider.
Globally, the current health crisis has made the digital water market unclear. What digital water trends have you witnessed during the pandemic, and what are your predictions for the future?
Actually, I was appointed at the time where we were facing the peak of the COVID-19, amazingly enough, because at the time of the first spread in China, I was in China. And that was amazing the way they I would say, contained the pandemic in democratic country like China. But this being said, I would say that, and I would say beside the overall economical effects that we may see on the water industry, like questioning the investment or the capex that was ready to be done by municipalities, utilities, or other industries, I think that this crisis has been a kind of eye-opening exercise for the water industry. Fortunately, water has not been very much impacted by the spread, even if we some technologies have been developed to test and measure the water in order to predict the spread in the population. But I think that has been quite anecdotal. But we have seen through the COVID-19 crisis that in water we were having a quite a fragile model. We were not really managing seriously the health, the security. We were having aging infrastructures, also aging workforce, which means that all the new technologies that were coming to help in such a case, like for instance, everything remote, everything digital, was a kind of challenge around the overall terms that could be digital transformation. Of course, it's about new technologies, and the new technologies will help in having a more sustainable and more resilient business or industry. However, we have also to be sure that we will embark the downside or the risk, and I may mention one, which is the cybersecurity, as we are talking about the cloud. But also we have a plan to support the workforce, to train and to develop them towards the new technologies in order really to have an holistic view of the sustainability and resilience of the segment.
Sustainability is a permanent part of your company's culture. If I'm not mistaken, between 2015 and 2025, Schneider Electric said it was engaged to invest 10 billion euros in innovation and R&D for sustainable development. Could you tell us a bit more about the company's achievements in this respect?
Yes, absolutely. I think sustainable development has been part of the values and the strategy of Schneider for a while. That has been driven internally quite strongly at such a point that, as you may know, we have the United Nations that promoting the SDG, the sustainable goal around the world for, I would say, water, for technologies, for poverty. And I would say that in Schneider, this is part of the strategy at such a point that we have translated that in the performance measurements of the company at the same level as we have the top line or the revenues or the EBIT or the cash flow. And we are strongly committed in front of our stakeholders, being the community, the employees, the shareholders or the customers, in order to achieve the goals that we are putting in front of us, either for our own operations. As an example, we are committed to remove SF6 from our circuit breakers, which is a chemical element that will be replaced by air and reduce the CO2 footprint definitely, and also the global warming gases that we could emit with this technology. For our customers also, for instance, just to give you an example, we have a performance indicator which is about how much metric tons, CO2 metric tons we can say, our customer can save because of our technologies. As of half of the year, we are about 107 tons, and we really of CO2, and we really believe that the target of 120 will be easily achieved by the end of the year. And of course, for our community, and that translates with a lot of activities. And to give you an example and to complement the first question, maybe I am the internal executive sponsor of the SGD 6, which is around water and sewage, in order to reduce our water impact as far as operations, offices, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I know that Schneider Electric has won a lot of awards in this respect.
Yeah, even if we are not running after the awards, we are really very much committed to this sustainability goal, because we really believe that the future of this of our planet is going to be having a sustainable growth. It's always a great pleasure to be rewarded by our peers and our associations.
Definitely. In your opinion, how does Schneider Electric help companies achieve corporate sustainability regarding water and wastewater?
I think we are very much moving from a problematic that was mainly around efficiency how to invoice more to the consumer, consume less energy, to a more holistic view of the sustainability around water, which I will summarize by saying that Schneider is going to help on energy and water resource conservation, which means that we have to have the concern not only about the plant and the process around water, but we have to have a view about how we're going to manage the resources, being the reservoir, the basins, also the floods in some countries, especially in the monsoon time. We have also to think about the efficiency and the resilience of the network, managing the losses, the leaks, and finally to be also providing solutions and technologies for the waste management, the zero liquid emission or waste liquid emission, in order to have a very closed loop view of the circularity of the water process. And I think that the main change that we want to provide or also to impulse in the industry is to go from a situation where all the solutions were very tactical, I would say, where you have an issue about the plant, you fix the plant, you have an issue about the energy management, you fix the energy management, to have, I would say, a more strategic approach about what we call the asset performance management. And performance is not only efficiency, is also sustainability, where the new technologies like artificial intelligence will help to have a full life cycle management from design to maintain, as well as implementing in the operations above and beyond the real time some tactics, some I would say solutions that are near real time, like scenario planning and of course modelization, simulation, in order to have a very, I would say, compelling approach about the asset management.
And how do you think the coronavirus pandemic will affect how companies prioritize water management in the long term?
I would say that we have two different industry. We have, first of all, the industrial water, and I would say three with agricultural, but agricultural is a very different topics, and maybe it will be we will derail the meeting if I go to agriculture. But let's focus on the two main ones that are the drinkable water. I think that more and more the cities are addressing the needs of their inhabitants or the citizen by providing a sustainable model for everything they do, being the gas, the electricity, of course, the water, the traffic, the building, and so on and so forth. And I think that in the future, or it's already now, the municipalities and the utilities will go more around how to improve the operations, not only to make them more efficient, but also to make them more reliant. We didn't live that during the COVID-19 crisis, but we could have stopped, pushing water to the houses. And I think that people all of a sudden we figure how important it is to get the tap water every day. Definitely. And a safe tap water, you don't question if you can get bacteria, metals, whatever. And coming from China, I tell you that I was having 3 tap waters and none of them were drinkable. But that's specific to this country for the time being, which means that this is very much a wake-up call. And for the industry, most industry will have constraints about regulation, but also constraints about versus the community, because we couldn't have any more emissions in the wild field, I would say, from chemical substances that are coming from the industry. So there is a trend also from the industry to be more careful and to consider really the water as a resource, like we could consider commodities like iron ore, coal, not coal anymore with the CO2, but oil or whatever. I think water is becoming a core commodity, and that's going to be the main concern to make it efficient, sustainable, and as I said, also resilient in any case.
Very true. To combat the devastating effects of COVID-19, Schneider Electric recently launched Tomorrow Rising Fund. Could you tell us a bit more about this initiative and how is Schneider Electric helping vulnerable communities access safe water and sanitation?
Yeah. First of all, just to give you a little bit of context, Schneider Electric is operating pretty much in every corner of the world. We are operating in more than 120 countries. And of course, in the 120 countries, we are facing different levels of development and different economical situations. And COVID-19 did impact those countries very different manner. I may say that in South Africa or in Egypt or in Philippines or in Germany or in France, there were all different situations. And at Schneider, we decided to tackle those issues by empowering the local management to be fully compliant with the local governments, to be sure that we were in sync with the spread limitation of the spread management of the COVID-19. So we launched this rising fund at the global level, but actually we declined it in 16 different countries. And this is a mix of funding, but also Schneider Electric employees volunteering in order to face emergencies, but also some long-term reconstruction that are related to COVID-19. Today, we have more than 70 projects that are concerning, but pretty much 1 million people around the world that are very much around giving the access to the resource being energy or water, and also to deliver an ongoing support for education, because we believe that education is the first fence against poverty. Just to give you an example of SDG 6, which is my preferred one on water and sanitization, we developed a program in Philippines for about 5,000 families, where we were securing clear and free water access, because you know that hygiene and washing was a key barrier for the spread. And in Philippines, that was a must to give this level of sanitation and hygiene in order for the families to limit the COVID. As well, in Egypt, we have done a water connection system for 1,500 families, also to be sure that water was there. Besides this, we have other initiatives like having a pumping system with solar panels in order to give water to remote places or where even electricity is not reaching, because we think that water and energy are the two pillars for emancipation, education, and growth at the very bottom level of the pyramid before we get to a different level of education. This is very important for us. We are not taking that as a distraction or as a marketing activity. We really believe that this is our role to help the communities wherever they are in the world.
Absolutely. I think it's essential, especially for women and girls.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't address the diversity, but absolutely. We have examples in the villages where girls couldn't go to school because their main objective in life was to gather water from the drill every morning and every night for the family.
Yeah. And in Schneider Electric's latest sustainability report, 2019-2020, Jean-Pascal Tricoire, the company's CEO, highlighted that the pandemic and climate change are both primary threats for the world. How is Schneider Electric supporting the water industry concerning climate change, mitigation, and adaptation?
As I said, I don't want to quote people that are more famous than me, that we can skip food, but we cannot skip water for health life. So water is at the core. Our role is we are a technology provider, and we contribute to, I would say, make the water more sustainable, overall speaking, and more resilient, which means having access to the water, but also access all the time and access to a very clear and healthy water. As technology provider, we consider that digital is going to be the solution of this commitment to the earth and to the sustainability. The technology that we are providing is very much around the platform concept, the integrated platform and connected platform. When we see connecting, we say that, first of all, we have to connect energy management and automation. Energy management, because this is the first source of CO2, and we never have to forget it. And automation is mainly around water conservation. The second is, I would say, the second integration is endpoint to cloud. We have the new technologies, and by gathering and deploying IoT more around the water systems, we will leverage the powerful clouds, analytics, and the new technologies that can provide, of course, a lot of things, including the remote activity. We are working remotely today. We are in virtual mode, but we have now technologies where you can almost run an operation or run a network remotely without having anybody on the ground. The third integration I would mention is really life cycle. We cannot consider anymore just the operation. We have to have a compelling view from design, build, operate, and maintain, to be sure that the assets we are putting out there are, first of all, delivering the value they are built for, but also they will be consistently sustainable around the life cycle. And finally, as far as our contribution, I think that the fourth integration that we want to provide through the digital transformation is having, from a local point of view, from the plant, from the network, from the wastewater, from the resource, from basin management, having an enterprise view of the process and the cycle, and that could go up to concept like smart cities or this kind of approach, where not only the individual contributor should be, I would say, green and compatible with the planet, but also we'll have a compelling offer around green cities and green life.
Very good. And lastly, what would you say that climate change is a growing concern among the water industry, or do you think it has been overshadowed by the pandemic?
I don't think so, because COVID-19, we say it's a global pandemic, and we are right to say so because every country has been touched at some point of the year. However, that couldn't shadow the water scarcity and the water issue that some countries are already facing. And I would say that COVID-19 has been ringing some bells, or used as a wake-up call, saying we are already in a difficult situation with the water. And if COVID-19 was not spread through hydraulic systems, but hydraulic systems, how we will have tackled this issue seriously. And I think some operators and some municipalities or utilities figure that they have really to think in a new way, the way they are running their industry. I mentioned China and the free tap waters. I would have mentioned India, but I would have also mentioned countries like Spain or France, where we see more and more period of where water is at risk, where tanks are very low, where we have constraints about washing cars and so on and so forth. So we are not that concerned, but I think collectively we start to think that water is not anymore free lunch, easy and forever, but is a resource that we have to manage as the other ones, with the caveat that water is at the core of the human health and core of the industry. And COVID-19 has just been, I think, psychological catalyzer of this change.
Definitely. And now I think we have a few questions from the audience.
Welcome.
Let me see. Just a second. Just a second. Okay, I don't know, just a second. Oh yes, we have one here. Can efficiency measures compensate the loss of benefits brought about by the health economic crisis?
Could you repeat? Sorry, I didn't get you.
Can efficiency measures compensate the loss of benefits brought about by the health crisis?
Yeah, here we're gonna go into the I would say the consulting forecast about the V shape, the W shape, the U shape of the recovery of the economy. That's for sure that for some times in the year, some large projects have been slowed down because of cash availability, some concern about the future. But if we look at some analysis we have done in Schneider, we think that the water market has been quite resilient. I'm not saying that it's back to growth, but that's not been a crisis like we could have seen in transportation, tourism, or whatever. This being said, efficiency for sure is a driver. But I would say that the main driver, if I'm speak as a strategist, is going to be around the OPEX. Maybe the CAPEX will be more justified, more or less as it was before. But I think that all the operators in this business are really thinking differently as far as OPEX. And they are investing in securing, in making their process more resilient. And I think that definitely going to be bringing this water segment back to growth quite easily. And actually, most of the growth is not going to be maybe around hardware assets, heavy investment, more around digitization and digital transformation, what we call smart water.
And lastly, the last question is, what is the role of digital twins in asset management? What has been the role of digital twins in asset management during the confinement?
Actually, digital twin is a contributor all along the life cycle. Having a digital representation of the asset during the operation phase brings the capability to simulate remotely, to make scenario planning, but actually everything happening there is making possible because the digital twin has been created during the design and the build. Because just to give you an example, the digital twin is bringing first a great value, which is having a digital representation of the asset as designed and as built. Our assets in the water industry are lasting 30 years. And how many times we don't know where are the pipes? How many times we don't know anymore the size of the pump? So when you are remotely it's absolutely the foundation to have a robust digital model. And the digital model is brought by the digital twin concept. This is, I think, the great asset. This issue is not happening when you have the 30 years experienced operator in front of the gearbox, or let's say the pump or the drive, and can tell you what's really existing there, or having a post-it on the door of the electrical cabinet showing that last modification has been done that way. So the digital twin definitely starts with design down to maintenance. It's a holistic view in the multiple facets of the assets. And it really works in operation if you have a consistent, reliable digital model.
Perfect. Well, Alain Dedieu, I wanted to thank you again for speaking to us here at iAgua. And I wanted to wish you the best on your future endeavor and this new role, which you've been appointed.
Thank you. And as you may mention during my speech, I'm passionate about sustainability. I'm passionate about planet, and water is it's a great field to play with.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for listening, and have a great event. Thank you.
Bye.